Oi, oi, it's your boy. Time is 2:31. It's the 23rd of the 8th, 2024, and we have ourselves FP2 of this, the Dutch Grand Prix. What's going on, Outlaw? Says, yeah, I hope you're good. Aaron, Visual, Michael, what's going on? I feel like this might get a bit techie, right? Changeable conditions et al. We have ourselves 10 races remaining of this, the 2024 season, and it will get techie. Oh, the humanity, how do you like your Formula One? With Rancor and Stakes, surely, as Sky Sports, the internationally syndicated broadcast, get themselves on some bloody Lewis Hamilton reviewing Silverstone and some of his greatest ever drives, of which there have been a few, for the avoidance of doubt. Let me get my, I'm messing around with my lighting, excuse me, it's all going off, kicking off in the background here. As we get ready for a cheeky FP2, and I can't wait, I'll be honest with you. FP2, this race, how do you like your racing? To be honest, how do we like your racing? I like it with Stakes and Rancor, everything that we're about to get this race weekend, I will be honest with you, as I tinker with this. It is going to get techie to see how McLaren, McLaren going to get, they've bought a gazillion upgrades, haven't they, McLaren? I've just seen. Notwithstanding, or maybe even because of that, they were top dogs in FP1, weren't they? But again, we shouldn't invest too much in FP1, 2 or 3. Maybe FP3 tomorrow morning. It will start to get techy and we'll start to see these guys and girls bring proper packages and take it more seriously. But up until then, before then, I'm not sure I'm overly invested in the timing sheet, because again, these guys should be fact finding. McLaren in particular, because they've bought upgrades and they want to find themselves the setup commensurate to win themselves some race sessions on Sunday now. Gonna get techie. No sprint. Visual, you're right. Aaron is their sprint race. Thank God, really. Who wants a sprint race weekend? Not in its current form. This feels like an unwanted distraction, does it not? Like, why are we... Nah. Not in its current form. A reverse grid sprint race, however. And yeah, I might be bought into that. Who do you think is top in FP2? And please rank these drivers in your opinion. No bias. George, Lando, Carlos, Charles, says Jacob. Oh, it's gotten techie all of a sudden, hasn't it, Jacob? Asking the key questions that matter, the exam questions even. Who will top FP2? Well, I think Red Bull will do what Red Bull do, and they'll use this as a proper fact-finding session. And again, I suppose it depends whether it's dry. The rumour, the word on the F1 curb was that this morning it was set to dry up in Zandvoort. So if it's dry, then they're going to start to get there. Do as they usually do. I'm talking about Red Bull and Max Verstappen, obviously. And they will put in time and get lots of simulations done with a view to replicate the race format and understand their strategy and nail the setup. So I would guess that if we're talking vanity runs, who were vanity run merchants then? Mercedes in the hands of one Sir Lewis Carl Davidson, Hamilton potentially. This isn't to say that he's going to nail it on pole, or could not, but Lewis might go FP2 quickest. And McLaren like a cheeky vanity run, don't they? Getting them their sponsors respectively some time which they've paid for. And then as far as you said Charles, let me get this back on. At which point everything has gone chaos. Alright, George, Lando, Carlos and Charles. Bloody Nora. Well, it depends, what are we talking about, mate? Are we go on then, let's frame it accordingly. I think you're assuming over the course of a 24 race season in equal machinery, which one of those guys would become champion? Oh, you've put Carlos, mate. That's a big shout, that. You know, I think it's unfair. Jacob, can I rephrase your question? I think it might be a tad unfair to put Carlos in there. I would struggle to back against Carlos. Though some of the others are probably quicker than him. I just think over the course, in equal machinery, equal circumstances, no appendicitis, I just think his durable competitive advantage is his race IQ and his he's being so cerebral, and I just couldn't. In that sense, I'd struggle to back against him. Do you know what I mean? So if you take Carlos out of there, I'd think I'd back. Oh, sacred! I think I'll probably back George. As at now, close though, so tight. It's nip and tuck between those guys. Although I'm finished work, I have to pick up my car 30 minutes away. Told the timing chain casing was corroded, so engine is out. Another place saved me like £1,000 and found out that the leak from a £1 core plug visual. These cars don't pay for themselves, do they? Oh, the humanity. Well, I'm glad that you got it sorted. I want more racing and less setup predictably. I would agree that Raymond says, Max, I'm watching. I think we're all watching Max to see. Cam, do you live in Britain? I do live in London, UK. Originally born and bred in Birmingham, which is north of the Wall Midland settings. Very stormy at this moment in the Netherlands. I'm far from Zandvoort, but stormy. Oh, the humanity, Patrick. Puts a smile on my face. What's going on, Steve? What is going on? Legend of Lucky Sons. You're a legend, sir. Listen and enjoy the cheeky exhibition tomorrow, or Sunday even, wasn't it? Ron, good afternoon. Claim 2 times to catch up. Legend claim. People tend to say that because I talk so slowly and I'm so deliberate in terms of my verbiage, my selection of verbiage. Some people like to watch me on 1.5, which isn't very nice. It feels like a slight. That hurts my if I were sensitive, you know what I mean? Michael would be Rosberg in Equal Machinery. Rosberg in Equal Machinery all the way will beat anyone. Michael, behave yourself. I know you're not saying that genuinely. Is that a slight at the at Brandol? Philip, ex-Mercedes engineer, who said that Rosberg and George Russell were more mechanically, technically minded than his Sir Lewis Hamilton. Like, if they had McLaren strategy, Carlos clears easily. Bloody Nora. PW said on your podcast that P2 is going to be very interesting. What did he mean? Remind me, David, of the quote that P2 is going to be very interesting. Which podcast? I don't know. I've had a couple chats with Mr. Peter D. Windsor over the past couple of months, so you'll excuse me for not understanding the instance to which you allude. Taking your old man, Steve. I don't hate that, mate. I don't hate that. You'd enjoy that. That's a decent exhibition. I've heard very good things from the man himself, who was responsible in no small part to in no small port. What are you on about, Cameron? In no small part to its organisation. Have we got ourselves a session yet? No, we're T-minus 21 minutes. I forget myself. Right, let's get some noise on the go. I hope you're all having a fantastic. What's going on with my voice anyway? Too much talking. You would never know. Drink some water, Cam. Right. What I need to do apparently is take my own advice. Move in silence and only speak when it's time to say checkmate. I love that phrase. And again, I've stolen it from Lamine Yawal when he was challenged during the Euros, right? Somebody said, this is the big leagues, mate. You're going to have to do better than that. And he said, listen, mate, before the finals, move in silence and only speak when it's time to say checkmate. Visual 2002 Golf 2.84 motion. Not bad cars, those. Got sorted at a VW tuning shop who had never seen it before. Normal garages couldn't find the issues. VW Golfs are normally quite reliable cars, so I hear. I used to have one back in the day. Carlos is like 5% worse than the rest. Carlo, behave yourself. It's a mature driver, is that fella. A very serious driver is Carlos. Better watching 1.5 than 0.25. Cam drinking that Max juice. Nando, you're here early, mate, with the blaspheming. Who topped FP1? I think it was one of the McLaren boys. I want to say it was Lando, but don't quote me from memory. FP1. We'll see it in a minute when I bring up the metrics. And again, the metrics, all of the metrics that you see on this channel, brought to you by Multiviewer. If you like yourself some value-added metrics to watch your Formula One with the F1s in conjunction, then go and download Multiviewer. It's a free app and it's not bad. It's not bad. Even if I do say so myself. Yeah, Norris heads Verstappen and so Norris was top. and then Verstappen was third, second even, and then Lewis, I think, in there. But it's hard. Don't put too much stock into this, you know what I mean? I don't think we should. Raymond by train. By train, maybe I have to remember 2024. Crazy to think Loris is 12-2 in qualifying against us. Is that true, Jacob? I need a cheeky fact check on that. 12-2. I don't think that's right, Jacob. Genuinely, I don't think that's right. I think I've seen a stat that said differently. Lando you've got me questioning that. No way, 12-2. I saw something similar. 2024, 15 rookie season in qualifying. Oh. Go on then, as at July, let's have a gander. 12-2. Nah. So their race record, 9-5 Lando. Sprints 2-1 Oscar. I need qualified. 12-2. Behave yourself. I just don't trust that at all. You might be right. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I think it needs a cheeky fact check. I'm checking. I am checking. Ferrari race engineer. Checking. It was 7-2. Wow. Maybe you're right. It was 7-2 a few races ago. Blimey. That's bonkers if Lando's out qualifying at that lick, who we know Oscar Piastri to be for all his pace in absolute terms. If Lando's out qualifying him, then that might be a good shout, mate. I stand down. Michael. The humanity qualifying versus race for Cam, see my point. Yeah, it doesn't translate, does it? This shows up as good as that looks on paper as far as Lando's qualifying record. Ultimately, it just gives rise to the iniquity in his ability to deliver in a race. He should have more points if he could get a start and change gears properly. Do you know what I mean? Or didn't fall foul of the clutch issue every single bloody race, then it might be a bit different. Eddie Jordan believes Max Verstappen to Mercedes will happen for F1 2026, calling the potential signing of Kimi Antonelli. Yeah, we spoke about it during FP1 run. So on the Formula for Success podcast, the legend that is Eddie Jordan, he said, because Andrea Kimi Antonelli, George was asked about this yesterday, about Andrea Kimi Antonelli's signing, and he didn't want to be drawn on it necessarily. He spoke in very abstract terms as if the official announcement isn't yet official. But Eddie Jordan's talking about it like it's already done. And I think you can go with that. You can forgive yourself if you think Andrea Kimi Antonelli will be driving for the boys and girls at Brackley and Brixworth in 2025, because I think in all likelihood you could probably take that one to the bank. However, the legend that is Eddie Jordan, again the man that broke the news about Lewis Hamilton moving from McLaren to Mercedes in 2013, he said that he thinks it's a mistake, that they might be superimposing onto one Andrea Kimi Antonelli the traits and the not insubstantial talents and the ability to expedite for one's learning curve that so characterise and epitomise one Maximilian Verstappen onto Andrea Kimi Antonelli. And you might make the case, you could argue that that's not fair. And if you want to optimise for Andrea Kimi Antonelli's path, line of least resistance settings, then that might not be the play. That potentially instead, Eddie Jordan argues, that what you might want to do, what you might be best doing, especially since you've already expedited through him, skipping out Formula 3 and pushing him through to F2, you might want to give him a proper stint in F2, allow him to spread his wings, therefore don't clip them before time by throwing him into the piranha tank that is Formula 1, when already he's not he's probably not even ready to win F2 yet, if we're honest. While we're looking at the fact that he was able to overtake Eau Rouge in the wet one Sunday, that all of a sudden that dude's ready to race alongside George Russell off Kingsley in Norfolk. You're having a laugh, aren't you? And replace Sir Lewis. Pressure any. And this is the point that Eddie Jordan's making, that you don't want to, you want to hive, you want to try and safeguard these young drivers, especially in the formative phases of their career, from that extent of pressure. It's almost insidious, isn't it? It's suffocating. Pressure will expand into any space that you give it, and in this instance, Toto, the boy who cried wolf, as far as Andrea Kimi Antonelli, is giving it a lot of space in which to expand. And I think Eddie Jordan makes the argument. Also, he says 2026, it's not the first time that people are saying 2026 max to Mercedes. I think if you talk to Peter D. Windsor, who has a habit of being right as far as these things, it's dried, by the way. T-minus 13 minutes and we're into FP2. Peter Windsor thinks what Max should do potentially, if he's had his Weetabix, hang around through to 2026, the end of, and then assess in earnest the respective merits of the Mercedes powertrain as versus the Red Bull Ford offering. Oh, what's going on here? Pink's talking about the iniquities of that Red Bull car. Exploratory session, says one Naomi Schiff, if I can enunciate properly. So yeah, it's getting a bit techie. I don't disagree. I don't tend to disagree. You can be outrageous sometimes. How about this, Eddie Jordan? Excuse me, sir. Instead of talking about Mercedes and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, you're going to drop any Adrian Newey news anytime soon, chap? You know what I mean? How about that news? What are we saying about Adrian Newey? Sorry, forget Andrea Kimi Antonelli. That's sunk cost now. Everybody knows which way that's going. T-minus 11 minutes before we kick off FP2, where we should find out more news. It's going to get techie. I do see your point, Michael. And I understand what you're saying, Ron, there, but it's a bit techie. Andrea Stella holding court, by the way, at the team principal press conference just now. This dude, if ever there were a chap that reminded me, I'm just going to start, I'm not even going to call him Andrea Stella going forward. He will be anointed here on in the Pep Guardiola of Formula One. He just reminds me of the way that he talks, very philosophical. He's never focused on outcomes or bringing one upgrade in particular, always focused on instituting the parameters requisite to get yourself 25 points, from which success, or the groundings which will breed success ultimately, can sprout. Like he's wordy. Is Andrea, and I don't hate it when he gets into his F1 vernacular bag. I'm like, yeah, I'm dialed in. I would accredit from afar. I would accredit a lot of McLaren's success to that chap, more than potentially even the drivers. And I think that's why Zach Brown knows what time it is, and who's dragging McLaren back to the silverware mountaintops, kicking and screaming. And I think Zach Brown, if you ask him, and if he's being truthful and honest, he will say that he will give you one name, and that name, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, of course. Come on, no, Andrea Stella, the team principal of McLaren. He's a proper fine, that dude is. The next Ross Brawn, potentially, if indeed we're going to neatly compartmentalise these F1 stars into those categories. Oh, the humanity indeed. How many races did it take for Lando to win? 100 and something. How many for Oscar to win? Oh, mate. So you're doing a lot. But, Brett, this is techie, though. You can't. Not doing the like for like. I know when they people will say, look at Lewis Hamilton and then look at Max Verstappen. In his very first season, and this is me putting my Colt LH hat on, but bear with me whilst I do this Lewis Hamilton Colt LH impression. Colt LH will say, look how many races it took Lewis to win his first race. Look how closely he challenged Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen in his first season for a championship, that must mean, therefore, that Lewis Hamilton is the greatest. Then, okay, look, if we've been drinking, we can play those very silly games. But if we're in sober state, then you've got to compare like for like. If you're doing the Lewis versus Max comparison, as brilliant as the best rookie season that you'll ever see. But if you're going to compare Max in his rookie season in F1, he was in a Toro Rosso, for Pete's sake. What do we do? Like, are we going to normalise for that? Or are you just going to compare apples with oranges with impunity, without compunction? We can do that. Like, F1 fans can bark up those very incorrect, misrepresentative trees if they want, but here on this channel we can't. I'm too much of, I've got bean counting in my blood and it runs through my veins. This is what I do as a 9 to 5, and ultimately I cannot, no, I will not indulge such a nonsense comparison. Why apples with oranges? Why? What, when you can normalise and do apples with apples? It makes no sense. So that's what I feel like. Respectfully, Brett, that's what I feel like we're doing there, comparing apples. I mean, when did Lando happen upon a car capable of winning championships? How soon into his career? You almost do it as a function, right? Of the races, how do I describe this? Getting techie now, putting on my calculator cap. You're going to compare Oscar. I agree with what you said. The sentiment here is, Brett, that Oscar's probably maturing at a quicker rate and becoming a potential championship winning driver earlier on in his career as versus Lando Norris, and I will take that 100%. I agree with you. However, if you're going to compare them statistically, what you want to do is compare. You need to normalise for how early on in their respective careers they were exposed to a car capable of winning races, right? You can't compare Lando. You can't account for all of Lando's races when he had a McLaren that couldn't win races, because we know that the oldest truism in F1 history is that if you don't have a car capable of winning races, then you're not going to win races. Simple maths, right? So you need to discount for that. Very long-winded way of saying you've got to normalise for these variables and compare apples with apples. Lando took like 7 years, get a safety car gifted win. Yeah, Michael, the calculation is much more complicated than that, sir. If you don't want to do apples and oranges. Jacob, you can't just say that. Current recency bias is crazy. I think Oscar is a better driver than Lando, just my opinion. Go on then, Joanna. I'll engage that meaningfully. Not yet. Not yet. But it's a forward focused, right? When they're both in their final form, when they've both got their feet embedded underneath the F1 table, when they're both becoming and starting to realise that both of their respective not insubstantial driving potential, who will be the best, then that's the way I'd couch, that's the way in which I'd frame this conversation. And then originally I said Lando, potentially now leaning more towards Oscar, only because if you normalise for the fact that he's younger, earlier on in his career, then you know what I mean. Ultimately, in final form, you probably argue that Oscar might be a stronger, more difficult proposition against which to race. Lando took like 7 years. Lando no wins in my eyes, says Michael. Oh, the humanity. He's a good driver, is Lando. There's a all right, look. This is what turned me on to Lando as far as him being a very, very serious driver. Race start, by the way, on Sunday, 12:30 or 2 p.m. British Standard Time. We'll be live 30 minutes before that, talking and chopping it up as per usual. 139 if you're watching concurrently, and we are T-minus 4 minutes away from a cheeky FP2 session for the Dutch Grand Prix. Oh, the humanity. And we're ripping it up already, aren't we? Bloody Nora, ticking off the proper exam questions so soon. It's a bit techie, this. Where do we go from here? Nailed Oscar, nailed Max, nailed Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Eddie Jordan too. Yeah, I think we need to give Lando some credit, myself included. I'm direct. This is a self-critique. I think Lando's done enough at this point in his career to earn maybe a little bit more grace than I'm giving him. Quali versus race is a symptom of the regulations rather than a driver, not just the regulations, I don't think, Jeremy. Remember when Leclerc was getting pole almost every race, but the Ferrari never had the race pace? Well, that was an anomalous circumstance, right? Because they set the car up to nail pole each and every single time. And then that Ferrari, at the time, I think you're talking circa 2022, right? Early doors, Bahrain as an example. An inherent characteristic of that car was the fact that it couldn't, not dissimilar to Lando at the moment, but it just couldn't get off the line properly. So every time Charles would drop it on pole, Max 9 times out of 10 would nail him into turn 1, or at the very latest by the end of the first lap. How do you fix for that? You know what I mean? Lando hasn't led after lap 1 not once this year. And again, there's a stat somewhere on F1 Reddit that talks about the number of times as a percentage of the whole, the number of times that Lando puts it on pole as versus the number of times that he leads at the end of lap 2. Not very many. And that's a shame. He's got to fix for that. Line of least resistance to beat Max Verstappen, surely as at August 2024, is to outqualify said Max Verstappen, 3 soon to be 4-time champion, and get your elbows out and try and hold him off. When you get into this interaction, that, ladies and gentlemen, isn't as that's not as the crow flies at all. That's difficult, borderline impossible, overtaking Max Verstappen in a car that's equal-ish in terms of pace. Rondreal, Kimi looks like Senna. Wonder if he could get there as well. Merck could burn him up, and I think that's a false dawn, isn't it, Ron? T-minus 2 minutes to FP2. To say that he looks like Senna, this is just as bogus as me expecting Ralf Schumacher to hit F1 and just be quicker than Michael. What? Just because there's a resemblance there between Antonelli and Senna, that means that he's going to be the second coming. I don't know. We do this sometimes. Apophenia. There's another fallacy where humans try and see patterns. It is apophenia even, where humans try and read and see patterns where there is nothing of the sort. There's another chap that looks a bit more like Senna. What's his name? Is it Colapinto? I think he looks a bit more like Senna. One of you guys in the chat will like, no, Cameron, the guy that looks like Senna is this chap, and I think he does look more like Senna. Kimi looks like Senna. Read that. That's quite sad. Oscar has more wins than Lando. What, including sprints? Behave yourself, Michael. How's that possible? Because he's won the sprint as well, doesn't he? Maybe Lando could lead after lap 1. Then he can win more race. This is what he needs to focus on, Michael. Absolutely. Go on then. FP1 about to kick off. We are less than 60 seconds away. Eddie's a British hero. He's a good lad. Is he British though, Raymond, or is Eddie Jordan Irish? Important distinction to make, lest we want to offend anyone. Just finished watching FP1. It is interesting, mate, and it's going to get techie right conditions, although everything's dry now. So keen to see the story, the plot going forward. The devil is old, says Joanna. Lord. Toto the German Shepherd. No, Wolf. Wow, Toto the German Shepherd. I love that. I might steal that at some point, Michael, with your permission. Toto is Austrian, of course he is. Toto the Austrian, Michael, not Australian. Calling him Pep is a disservice. Pep has had everything handed to him and needs an unlimited budget. A snake oil salesman of sorts. Is Pep that bad, really? I remember hearing a story about how Pep needed to when Pep first took over at Barcelona, they had all the top players, didn't they? But they were wasters. Deco, Ronaldinho, just wasting away their talents, and were keen to take Leo Messi into the club with him. So Pep Guardiola sold all those spots, Ronaldinho and Deco, and a load of others, Kluivert maybe. Mate, I did not think that was the right thing to do. To be honest, if you're not in real time, afterwards he looks like a genius, but who'd sell Ronaldinho at the time? You're having a laugh. Alright, FP1, let's get ourselves some cheeky metrics going. Let's get it going, eh? Why don't we kick off? And again, brought to you, all of this stuff, by Multiviewer. Feel free to download that app. It will get techie. If you like yourself some metrics and some data to accompany your F1 watching each and every single time. As Anthony Davidson's talking about the banking on the track. Bear with, I'm coming. 59 minutes remaining of this, the FP2 second free practice session of the Dutch Grand Prix of the Humanity. Who are these lot fighting? King George first of his name fighting with Valtteri. Trying to do a do-over at Imola a couple of years back, 2020 settings. I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Oh, Crofty with the stats. First time since 2020 that Max Verstappen has gone 4 races without a win. Oh, the humanity. Chaos, eh? Paradigm shift settings. Oh, look at this ugly man. Don't want to. Okay, let's do one of these. Boom. And let's move back just a tad. All right. Anthony Davidson giving some linguistic colour to the fact that we've got a 3-way fight in, of course, Mercedes, McLaren and Red Bull. Could get techie. All right, let's go. Bottas moaning about his visor, of course, as he always does. Always got something to moan about as Valtteri. If it's not coffee and beer making and mullets, it's always something, isn't it? FP2 is live, Michael, indeed. SLH, great, but Max, the youngest driver, youngest winner. So in that sense, Ron, if we're going to talk youngest, how old was Lewis when he got into F1? Not saying that that's not worthy of credit as far as Max Verstappen's concerned in absolute terms. But if you're comparing like versus like, I don't think... Can turn on closed captions. Don't know how to do that, mate, I'll be honest with you. I'll have a look, Michael, I promise. Although, I think when you're doing live, you can't, like, it's got to be a video and then you go back and revisit it and then you can get closed captions. Oscar made a lot of headway. McLaren's and George look strong. Indeed, they do. Stella can't stand in the shadows of Guardiola. Guardiola don't make such essential mistakes as McLaren did. Give him some grace, Ron. Like, I mean, he's new, isn't he? This Andrea Stella fella. You know what I mean? He's brand new and fresh and competing for first is a brand new circumstance for him. One that he's not accustomed to. And I think that's where the mistakes come from. If we're being honest, you gotta fight some battles to win some, right? Can't just sit on the sidelines. And they are not. I think they deserve some credit, I'll be honest with you. All right, Michael, you're a legend. Catch you soon, Joe. How many caps do you own? Macon, I've got a couple, mate. I don't wear them anymore, though. I feel too old. I don't want to be a 40-year-old cap wearer. And the intro music says, Jay, let's go. Visual. Lando has been bottling the starts. Has he bottled them, though, Visual? Has he bottled them? Because it wasn't the launch. So in Spain, it wasn't the launch, was it? Apparently, there was a glitch in the gearbox software. Yeah. Of course there was. Learn how to manage the tyres, not driving the car fast. It's the starts visual. It's no more complicated or simple than that. Einstein's razor. It's difficult not to like Lando, but he needs to find some self-respect. Yeah, and stop being so bloody self-deprecating, Macon. This is the issue, eh? Lando fold Norris. No wins, says Nando. Mate, but you can't have that name, Nando, and then Nando. Oh, joking. I'm pulling your chain, Nando. Nando wants to be found nice by all. Yeah, and that's not the way forward, is it, Ron? But by definition, you're not a killer and a champion. He needs to change. There you go. I read they turned off 2022 Ferrari engine. Or they turned the engine down after all the failures. True. Also, visual, I heard similar thing. Oscar's like a stick killer and still going. He's very silent, right? Move in silence and then he speak when it's ready. It's time to say checkmate. F125 commenting is silent. And no commentary, Jay. Bloody Nora. Standard F125. F1 TV settings. FIA brought out the TD. Yeah, TD0113. Color Pinto is an Argentinian, isn't it? Bit ironic. Antonelli looks like Prost too, but better looking than Prost. You guys are killing it. I was just watching Ratzenberger documentary, actually, speaking of good looking. Mate, F1 is a very dangerous sport, isn't it? What's going on, Kyrie? A legend. Mate on my backside is better looking than about behave. So you'll have to train in Joanna. Have a good session. Oh, mate, I'm missing Brundle. Brundle trackside. Can't miss that. What are we doing here? When Brundle's watching the cars up close and talking about their respective handling dynamic and how the car's keenness to adhere to the circuit as it's going around the bank turn. Mate, you can't miss that. Yeah, Brundle. You got to listen to Brundle when he's trackside. Can't watch F1 practice session on the plane. Back to US. You're a legend, Walter. Have a safe flight, Joe. Just popping my head into hail. Everybody got to work. Glad for the resumption of the season. Absolutely, Kyrie. You're a legend, mate. I'll catch you tomorrow for quali or FP3 or the race on Sunday when it's going to get very techie. Of course. Of course. What are you doing? Whoever said that about Pep knows F all about foot. I know he's done all right as Pep. Do you know what I mean? He's not been that bad. F1 TV English works. Okay, cool. Everyone's getting errors. It's very glitchy today, Walter. The old F1 app. Oh, Checo Perez error again. Checo, remember, mate. And he got a few races. Mate, stay of execute. Oh my God, that looked very dangerous. George Russell. George Russell, big lockup. George Russell's going to be on the radio. Oh, little bit strange. Braking issues again. Everybody locking up all over the place. Inertia valve settings, any. Front right. Oh yeah, it's the unloaded type. Look at them all struggling to turn in. Jay. Mate. Let's see who's brake issue this week. Barack, they're all having turning in issues. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, have a look at multi-viewer per J, you legend. Turn off your device and then turn it back on. Says Carlos, says here, not my George. Big lockup, says here. He's but all of them are locking up. Look at Max there, locking up, trying to turn in. Oh, the humanity. Article 11.1.2. Mention no names. Molly Marissa did say that she was keen to see who comes back and the variability in the car's handling dynamics, and if even there is one. Because now we know for sure. You can debate the timing of the article, the institution of the rule change, but now all of them are going to have to comply to it. That's beyond the shadow of a doubt. And talk about China, etc. But bloody Nora, I think it's satellite channel. Mate, you're on the plane and you got satellite. Don't hate that, Walter. Proper. All right, let's have a gander. We are 50 minutes, 10 minutes into the session, FP2. 50 minutes on the clock remaining. Currently, your pace setter, Max Verstappen, followed by Norris, Stroll, Sir Lewis, Checo, Sainz, Leclerc, both Ferrari 6th and 7th, Albon, Hulkenberg, Gasly. All needed to change brakes during it. Yeah, well, not all. I don't know, Ron. I don't know. I would get into it again, but Jay's going to bite my head off. And I don't know. Something happened. I don't see why they would change the rules and regs mid-season. Unless one or more team weren't already using it. The old inertia valve with a view to induce some lap time gaining oversteer. Again, not dissimilar to what McLaren, the West McLaren of Coulthard and bloody Mika Hakkinen were doing back in the day. Says here, you're a legend. No, thank you, Sazia, for being such a legend and for brightening up my day. All you guys here listening to my ramblings and having some F1. It's only free practice for Pete's sake. Oh, just see Max pushing it. Cheeky oversteer, but he saved it nicely. Sazia, thank you so much. You're a legend. Sazia, I can never roll my R's, Sazia. I try to, but it always ends up sounding like L. I think this is a victim of me learning my Spanish in Cuba. Sazia refaso. I hope I've nailed that, Sazia. Good as I'm going to get. My Spanish is peorando cada día. Try setting the video settings. Jay giving advice. Attic, we all need to change our brakes from time to time. Let's move on. Fair play, Attic. Well, for Jay, yeah, it's Virgin Atlantic. Virgin Atlantic is that plus cam is always good. You're a legend, Walter. Go on then. 112.1 from Max Verstappen. Mediums. Go on then, let's have a look who's on what. Hards. Right, so the hards potentially sim runs. I don't know why else you'd be on hards. Keen to see how many laps Albon, Sonoda, Gasly, K-Mag are doing on those hard tyres, but the rest of the grid are mediums. And again, potentially doing sim runs. I'll be keen to see how that translates to some of their strategies going forward. Gonna get techie, Nate. It's Lewis versus Max and the rest. I don't disagree with that, Nate. I think you've nailed it. You read my mind. I wonder if several teams were trying different versions of the lateral brake, the old torque steer, the inertial valves. They caught Red Bull and they looked deeper into the issue and found something similar with others. Reg change and gave teams till summer break. FIA sneaky, so we can only guess. Ron Real, I think you're right. We can only guess. Nobody knows for sure. Not every nation is allowed to broadcast F1 TV. In the UK, it's all done through Sky Sports. And probably if you're... Oh, yeah, good shout, Jay. Good shout. They don't make it easy, do F1. If you want to watch Formula 1 from a different country, you might need to leverage a cheeky Nord VPN or something because it's techie. You won't be able to... Jay makes the point, Walter. You won't be able to come to the UK and use the same thing that you used in the US. Because you need Sky Sports. That's the point. Yeah, it's techie. Author. If I was off, mate, I'd give you my setup to use if I were allowed. That's Verstappen 112.1. Hamilton doing an outlap. Currently second. Let's go. Mercedes all of a sudden fast, but I just can't expect. I don't know. We'll get a cheeky poll out at some point, but I just can't. There is no backing against Max around Zandvoort, his home Grand Prix. Not from serious people. Like, what are we? No. Bruce Dog, don't forget everyone can help support this channel for free by smashing the like button. You're a legend, Bruce Dog. 107 you're watching concurrently, and we have ourselves a session. 46 minutes on the clock remaining of this FP2 session. Techie, think it's all going to start to kick off in earnest. Don't forget. Cam, don't quote a VPN unless they're... But this is true, visual. This is very true, mate. I stand corrected. USA, ESPN also shows F1. Yeah. It's techie. It's a very good shout, visual. I'm such a noddy business mind. I just don't get it. Just too noddy. Let's have a gander at something. Mate, Jay, honestly, don't quote those numbers back at me. It fills me with woe and dread and makes me feel sad that I pay so much for a Sky subscription and get so bloody little. Get most of my content these days from the YouTubes as far as F1 and all other things, and YouTube is free unless, of course, you want to do the premium subscription thing, which you don't need to do. However, if you want to watch F1 in the UK, in HD, you're going to have to pay through your eyeballs for it. It's a joke. So what's the prediction for this weekend, chaps and ladies? Walther, I can't see. You know the rules of the game. I've added an additional rule as at yesterday. rules of the channel as far as predictions and prognostics going forward. So here's mine. I will never back against Max. I don't care how quick those McLarens are. I'll never back against Max Verstappen because I like to play the probabilities and I like to be shrewd and frugal with my hard-earned. So I will never ever back against Max Verstappen, not as at the 23rd of the 8th, 2024, nor will I ever place money for Lando Norris, not until he sorts out those bloody starts and starts taking himself more seriously. 1,000 quid to listen to Peter Griffin, aka Crofty, tell the likes of Brundle and Button about driving a car. Attic. True. I hear you. I do hear. Piastri slowing P2 thus far. I mean, it's all fact finding, isn't it? Maybe he's trying to sort out his race pace. That's his problem. That's been his Achilles heel. His soft, vulnerable underbelly, hasn't it? Thus far. He needs to... that's what Oscar needs to remedy for. I love the premium subscription. I do like a cheeky premium. I can't afford it though, making is the issue. You know what I mean? It's credit crunch. Subprime crisis. Piastri doesn't care about P1 says. Session red flagged. What's gone on there? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, red flag. Who's crashed? Huh. Why is session red flagged? Just as Sky Sports have gone for a break, Lewis has the old card. The update isn't working. Bloody Nora. How many does it seem? Brack, FIA should put weak pressure sensors on each driver or brake pressure sensors on each car and check real time. See if there's a rules. Too late. I think they would have all fixed it and I think they'll be checking. I think they'll be doing something like that in real time. But again, Barack, they can't tell us, right? Because FIA and transparency aren't two words that tend to go in the same sentence. Red flag says Joanna. Joanna, I thought he was meant to be at the gym. What's going on there? Just checking back in to see what's going on. I don't hate it. Hulkenberg off, says Joanna. I haven't seen it yet. We're on a break in the UK. Cameron, have you seen the new Jordan DC podcast? I have seen it. Bonapartist. Well, to be fair, I haven't listened to it. I've seen the aggregators pull together their headlines. Potentially, I'll do a video on it a bit later. And he's talking about. We went through it in FP1, but we can revisit since we've got time. There is a red flag. Eddie Jordan is talking about Andrea Kimi Antonelli and how he sees that Toto, the boy who cries wolf, is making a mistake by fast tracking him. I think it's a difference in extents and not kinds that Eddie Jordan thinks they're fast tracking Andrea Kimi Antonelli too much. They've already missed him. They've already skipped him a queue once, right? This should be his season, his first season in F3. But they sat that off and said, you know what, you're good enough. So you're old enough to be in F2. And I'm not sure I like that. To do that again, then, Eddie Jordan argues, use him to replace Sir Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis? You can tell I've been watching athletics and the Olympics, 1991 Tokyo. To replace Sir Lewis, Carl Davids and Hamilton might be a stretch too far, alongside George Russell. George can say he'd be a brilliant mentor all he wants. He can say that Andrea Kimi Antonelli doesn't need his counsel and advice. But any new driver will need the help of their teammate, especially one as experienced and storied as King George Russell, first of his name. So I tend to side with... I'd love to argue against. Sometimes I don't always agree with one Eddie Jordan, but in this circumstance, I think he's bang on the money. So too, I agree with him that 2026 could be the first year of one Maximilian Verstappen, 3 soon to be 4-time champion in a new team. That team has a name. That team's name is Mercedes. Oh, Nico. Oh, Nico. Not a bad accident. He's all right. Yeah, Hulk smash. Well done. I like that, Attic. You're in fine form today, Attic. Full of comedic sleight of hand. Oh. Crofty saying after 20 minutes, Hulkenberg is out. This, however, be a more valuable session than usual. FP2 sessions are created equally, but some are created more equal than others. In particular, those that have been preceded by a wet changeable condition FP1, especially if the race and qualifying tomorrow, the proper paid sessions, are going to be dry. Now's the only time when you're going to get some meaningful due diligence in, isn't it then? Hulkenberg said the rear completely locked up. All these issues with rear brakes make you think that everybody was on the old inertia valve, isn't it? Like chaos. How was Antonelli doing? He did win. So Antonelli, okay. So in F2, there are two types of race. There are feature and sprint races. In the past, he's won one of each over the past few weekends. And then he overtook somebody in Eau Rouge in the wet, and everybody went mad and lost their mind. But one swallow does not a summer maketh. Even a broken clock gets it right twice a day. You just got to... Yeah, I agree with you. Surfsaurus or Surf Sauce. I completely agree with you. You may well destroy Kimi Antonelli's career. Hopefully not Hulk Hogan style water. No work today. You're a legend at it. Just kicking it up, mate. You're on fine form. You need to be off work more often, Attic. There is life beyond the coalface, so I'm told. Oh, wet tomorrow says soft sauce, soft sauce. Surf, I think it is, mate. My intonation is not dexterous enough to pronounce those difficult words. Raymond, it's useless to say I'm behind you, British, always. Are you behind, Raymond? I'm behind. I'm always like 30 seconds behind. Beyond says, disagree, smashing Behrman by more than double points in the same car. Isn't he still like 7th, though, Beyond? Where's Andrea? I'm not talking about... Okay, so if you're going to benchmark him against Behrman, props, but Behrman's prone to making a cheeky mistake. He is indeed, some people say, the Charles Leclerc of F2. How about we benchmark him against the man who's currently leading the F2 championship? I know Prema are undergoing they're having a load of problems, but surely F2 winning the F2 championship by my book, that's the conveyor belt. That's the stepping stone to an F1 car. As you see, McLaren putting a ton of Flovis on the suspension or the front wishbones, to see whether any one of their 10 upgrades or none are working as intended. F3 is interesting. Tabletopper had not won a single. It happens like that, Bonaparte, sometimes in F2 and F1 and F3. But particularly in the feeder series more often, because you do need to be consistent, right? You just need to be consistent over and above everything else. I would also, says Joanna, the legend of Cameron F1, moderator extraordinaire, advise all to hit the like button. That, ladies and gents, is an imperative. An ask come imperative. Antonelli won't win the sprint race because of the reverse grid, and the feature because of the safety car and excellent driving. Lots more to prove. He has got lots more to prove, and I don't even watch F2. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm no expert in F2 because all of my time, my free time, is invested in the thing that they call the Wonder Fs. You know what I mean? Takes up a lot of time trying to pursue and follow all these. And Lewis Hamilton is on pole because there's such a thing in F2, isn't there? Pole currently race lead 111.8. Max Verstappen 0.3 seconds adrift. Russell 0.4 seconds adrift again. Let's take that. I don't hate that. Stroll would like a word on that. Smashed. The incredible sulk. Max Verstappen is on a quick one. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Soft tyres. Max Verstappen 110.9. Goes a second quicker than anybody else. But Lewis Hamilton, for the avoidance of doubt, was on mediums. Bottas, however, on softs. Lando Norris says, you know what, Max Verstappen, I'll see you there and I'll raise you to the tune of 0.025. Lando Norris goes purple. Let's go. On a 110.961. Those McLarens are quick, ain't they? Around here. I think they can turn well around slow, hairpin-esque turners. Why do you speak like this on video? I don't understand what you're talking about. Be more specific, AM, and I will address you and engage your question meaningfully. Why do you speak like this on the video? You use an adjective or an adverb even. It's different cars. Best way to base it is on their teammate. First season in F2 and he's dominating him. Hamilton is doing just ahead of Perez, but we wouldn't say they're similar skill. Fair point. Yeah, it is true. You need to normalise for that. You want them to be in the same car, but sometimes they're not. And yet, and still, we want to compare those drivers and their respective abilities. Max on top again, standard. Until Norris. I'm a bit behind. Keiko Rosberg won in 1982 with just one win. Sometimes it happens. And then, I remember seeing a stat that in 1989, when Prost beat Senna, that only one of those races where Senna and Prost both finished, Prost beat Senna on track. Every single time Senna finished, apart from that one time, Senna managed to beat Prost on track. Mad? Mate, F1 is bonkers. New channel name, Cameron, what the Wonder Fs? Maybe visual. Let's go, Max, says Joanna. Piastri tops out, 110.763. Account for this, though, that the track will be evolving right. Sandy track settings, Obama bin Russell, bloody noise. What I've done there. Osama bin Russell versus Antonelli would be fun to watch. I don't think it would be, though. I think we say that. To say that is a failure to appreciate how good George Russell is and will be as he continues to learn and pick up more information. Yeah, no, I'm trying, Raymond, you know what I mean? But some, why are you speaking so quietly? Am I speaking quietly? I think this is just my voice. I've heard that criticism. Why speak so quietly, like you are trying to do ASMR or some ish like that, just speaking to a normal voice? This is my normal voice. I've only got one. I'd change it if I could, but I can't. And if I turn up the bloody gain too much. I tell you what, let me switch it round on you. I think you're the only one in here complain. Let me know, chat, if I need to speak louder. But there's always a couple Formula Cam. I don't hate that, Keith. There's always like one or two people complaining about like the audible, but not often. I don't understand the dislike for this track. No, it's a decent track. I don't hate it. It's slower though, isn't it? People like speedy tracks, and it's don't do it. Okay, I won't do it, Jay. I turned it up a little bit, but you know what? You're just gonna have to take it. Do you know what I mean? Put it in your pipe and smoke it. Perfectly clear, says Nate. Says here, says I sound all right. You'll hit the gain and we'll all lose. I turned it up a little bit, Jay, but you're speaking fine. F1 orator brilliance at its best. That I appreciate you, Attic. I'm doing my best. You know, Bernie Collins is Irish, but do other accents have a difficult time understanding her? I want to say Bernie might be from Northern Ireland, which is a very different entity, a different proposition to the Republic of Ireland. I'm not sure. Don't quote me though. Thank you, Walter. I'll keep going then. Mouth is too close. It's clipping. Okay. Oh shoot! It was fine before. You see that? I listen to AM and turn it up, and then it spoils everything. I will turn it down a tad. Right. Let's go. Mouth is too close. Let's keep our eye on McLaren 1 and 2. Right, Antoine, do you have the option to show the team radios? Antoine, it's techie. So I spoke to the guys and girls over at Multiview and they told me not to do it. I know there are other channels that do it. But in an era, at a time when F1 are trying to destroy content creators' lives for just using the Wonder Fs in their handles, I'm quite scared to put up. I could show it to you. Don't want to do it. It's too techy. I'm so sorry. I'd love to add more value and show you more metrics, but already I feel like I'm flying quite close to the wind. I don't want to do the Icarus thing and get burned by the sun. We'll continue. Listen, if there's a, let me know if there's a radio message that you hear or see. In fact, I'll listen to the radio messages more and I'll try and feed them through to you. Your tone and volume is very soothing, but you're a legend, John. I'm trying, man. Do you have the option to show the sorry, Antoine, I've read that already. Russell Bedankt. I predict Max won't podium. Oof, Surf. Oof. That's a bold prediction there, mate. I think Russell read my chat, says Attic. Go on, let's see if we can get. Right, let me try and get some radio on. You see, this is right. I'm going to start paying attention more now because this is about to get very serious, isn't it? As we get into the meat end of this session, now these lot are going to start to reveal their hand as far as timings, etc., etc. Right, let's go. No. There we go. All right, so I can tell you. Go away. Right, we'll start to read out. Gasly on the radio. Gasly told tyre temps looking good. We're happy to lean right side of the tyres. Carlos Sainz radio. Something wrong with the gearbox, says Sainz. 7th gear, something's going on. George Russell. George talking about the exit curb, turn 13. Causing him a bit of an issue. Told to go to strap 1. That going double cool as far as his bringing the tyres in. George Russell boxing and checking the floor. Hey? Who is this? Who? Checo Perez getting awfully descriptive over the radio. Hey? Wow. I'm gonna try and Checo Perez all of a sudden being ultra descriptive, describing through turn 4, 5, and 6, like what he's getting as far as his dynamic. Mate, something's changed. I've never heard Checo Perez speak like that. Something may or may not be going on there. I suppose he's got the new car underneath him, the new old car underneath him. Just keep the radio messages and such off the streaming scheme. Yeah, I'm gonna. I don't want to get destroyed. Think Russell read my chat. He said, just wanted to let you know, in the face of F1 griefing content creators, you and Peter D. Windsor are a big part of the reason I even watch F1. Keith, you're a legend, mate. That warms my heart so much, genuinely. And I can't take credit for it. Peter's like, oh, stop glazing Peter Windsor camera. Like, genuinely, there was a time not too long ago where I didn't watch F1 either, Keith. And I would just watch Peter Windsor's stream as well to find out what's going on, because he condenses it very nicely, right, in a way that's engaging and informative, almost in equal measure. And in that sense, he's a rare breed, isn't he? I don't know why the Sky don't just throw the book at him and just offer him whatever he wants. Probably wouldn't even accept it, to be fair, if they did that. Probably. No, I don't know. He's been there and done it, though, hasn't he? He's building his own platform. And this is why we're having a new media conversation versus conventional corporate media. I was listening to one of my mates streaming, and he said that corporate media is not something that you want to trust in, because they'll just pull the plug, right, and invest into something else. If it fails, or people start watching the sport, or they want to go and look at TikTok or whatever else they're looking at, then corporate media, as have HBO, as are ESPN, they'll all just sack it off and divest out of F1 and whatever else into something else, the newest, latest, hottest thing. That's why I feel like YouTube and new media is ultimately, in the end, over a long enough period of time, will absolutely destroy old corporate media. It's going to happen. Not too many sparks from beneath the car here. And mate, Chiba, how are you awake? Perez P12 standard. Peter's so excited about his new mirror. I know, did you see it on Twitter? The bullet mirror or whatever. He knows what he knows and he knows it well. He's not bad, I'm telling you. He's not bad. I could tell you some stories about Windsor when he's just happened upon the truth, not even know it. He's just like, yeah, maybe this is it. Like, no, Peter, it is it. Did you read this story? But no, I haven't read it, but just got an inkling, you know. That's what expertise is. I was reading this book called The Death of Expertise, where they talked about this clinician who'd been at their trade years and years and years, and they saw, I think they'd been to like a dinner, and they just looked at somebody, one of the dinner guests, and said, "You need to go to the hospital, mate." They were like, "Why do I need to go to the hospital? Why are you sending me?" She goes, I don't know. Just go to the hospital. Something with your face. Just go. Went to the hospital and found out that he'd had a stroke or something. And had he not gone to the hospital within the last, had they not gone to the hospital urgently, he could have died. The death of expertise. So I can't have. There is something to be said for expertise in Formula One and the death of it, because there are a gazillion brand new experts who've just been watching the sport barely 2 minutes, who are just, you lack the humility of somebody like a dude like Windsor who's been watching it 500 years. There are some very good. I say that's those people are rare. The vast majority of content creators are legends. Proper legends. Really, really. Anyone that you see on this channel going forward, legendary settings, just good people. You almost want to dislike them, but just for the most part, really, really good people. Chiba, 9 a.m. in Chicago. Let's go, Chiba. Attic Tsunoda spanking Perez and Ricciardo. Well, in parts, why won't Red Bull just put Yuki in the seat next to Max? Sometimes the shoe just doesn't fit. I think it's weird because this is inconsistency 101. But the chat that I keep hearing from Marco and Attic, it's coming, I promise you. Oh, the humanity. I'm working on a couple. I'm telling you, Attic, bear with. I've been very laissez-faire of late, but I am going to sort it. So the word on the Red Bull curb from a Helmut Marko standpoint is that they think that he's a bit of a loose cannon. He's Checo. That's the chat that I'm hearing, that they don't rate him as far as his ability to handle things in real time with a calm head and be stoic, that he'll get a bit irate over the radio, as would Max. But Max's gift in this sense is that he has 3 sets of silverware that are entitled to it. It's winner's privilege, isn't it? Max doesn't need to prove anything anymore. He can do what he wants and then indulge him, because he's one of the best that we've ever seen. Already at the ripe old age of 26. Oh, the humanity. What are we doing here? By the way, A to Z Race Driver stream is very good content. I appreciate you making. I think it was one of your best. I enjoyed it a lot. And of course, I stole the idea from the legends over at Formula One. Bless them. And they did an A to Z challenge with the drivers. Me and my missus always play the A to Z challenge. We do countries, and it's a game that we've always, if we're at the airport, we'll always delve into that. Lorvies is a legend, I'm telling you. All of them. Let me tell you the good eggs in the content creator. Anybody you see on the channel, legends. Tomo's a legend. Mahad, an absolute legend. Almost you want there to be it feels criminal. Tomo's such a nice guy. When you meet him, he just, your mate started, just a good lad. Mahad the same of McLaren Fan TV. Nash is an absolute legend, in constant contact with that dude, arguing back and forth about the nooks and crannies about Formula One. Shares, Baxley, both legends, couldn't be nicer dudes. Law VS, proper legend, couldn't be nicer. Peter Windsor, for somebody with such length of service and such a F1 mind. If you talk to him, you'd be astonished at how like humble, just nice people. You know what I mean? It's weird. Who else is there that I've worked with or be working with? Rab, Tactical Rab F1, although we disagree on Peter Windsor and his reliability respectively, just a good egg. He'll be on the channel at some point in the next 7 days, chopping it up. And again, how are you going to knock that chap and his work ethic every day for the last 5,000 years? Tactical Rab F1, just a decent, just a good lad. Like I don't know, for the most part, these guys in the F1 space, almost too nice. Like you kind of want one of them to drop the ball and be a douchebag, but they're all just lovely chaps. Do you know what I mean? Is these stuff going down with Haas? I haven't seen it. Oh yeah, I did see it, Patricia. Might have to talk about that tonight in the Friday night stream. I did see that there's a Uralkali, isn't it? Potentially looking to seize back some of their goods, aka financial assets of Haas. I will, Lorvius, if I haven't said, absolute legend as well. Walther, Baxty's, honestly, you might disagree with Baxty, but he's just he's a good egg. I'd like to see Baxty create more content on his channel, I'll tell you the truth. F1 Unchained. I've never had any contact, so I cannot speak, but probably a good egg as well, I don't know. RPM legend. Again, I can't speak to RPM, but he makes decent content, eh? You know what I mean? What does everybody drive? Alfa Romeo 1996 2.5 Bussard. I do not hate that. What do I drive at the moment? A Mercedes B-Class. Boo. Absolutely dreadful. Like, it depresses me just to think about it. It's a horrible drive. It's a proper dadmobile. Why is Sainz still in the pits? I don't know what's going on. What was his message? Hang on, I can suss this out. Something was going on with his car, he said. He said that he wanted to check out the floor, didn't he? No, that was George Russell. Who said that? You guys can see that, eh? Look at me messing up. All right, let's have a quick go. Science was on the radio. Rewind back and you'll hear it. Science said something just not long and I read it out. That's why he's in the pits, whatever I said on the thing. Can't remember. My memory's not that great. 124 of you watching currently. Do me a favour, smash a like. Simple Ford. Let's go. I don't hate it, Joanna. I'm kind of... I think I'm over the bloody spending money on expensive cars. Gearbox issue, says Patricia. There you go. Oh, yeah, sorry. There you go, Patricia. I did read it out, didn't I? Gearbox issue. Yeah. You're struggling with 7th, I think. I watch F1 with the volume off. Soz, not to get mad. Sky's the worst. I don't disagree with you, Sydney. So when Brundle's like this, Brundle's trackside at the moment, and I love watching him describing... I love watching the cars go by and seeing Brundle describe the automotive pugilism Rubik's Cube for which these drivers need to solve. Like, I love that. But that aside, not good enough. Goosebumps, says Martin Brundle. He just wants to be back in the car, doesn't he? He's a racer through and through, Brundle. Baxter and I are political opposites. There's only two people, but I enjoy his singing. Baxter knows his SH1T. I don't disagree with you, Mike. He's knowledgeable. Walter, let me tell you about Baxter if you don't believe me. We were talking about champions by year. Have you seen Vettel? Vettel did it on a Grill the Grid challenge. He went all the way back from 2020, whatever it was back then, 2021, say, the last year that he retired, and he went all the way back and named all the champions in reverse order. If you get Baxter on, Baxter could nail that like without even blinking. I'm telling you, that's the. I can do it now after a bit of practice. One day we'll do it. 2023. Stuff. One day we'll do it properly again. I did it the other day, didn't I? But I can do it quicker now. I'm from Wolves. You have the best Birmingham voice, David. You're a legend, mate. Thank you so much. It's toned down since I've moved. I'm in London now, so the old Birmingham accent is a bit more diluted. I never want to lose it fully, not entirely. You can hear a bit of London in there, right? It's a weird mix. Fair enough, but I disagree with him a lot, Walter. I don't hate you, mate. We've got to disagree on this channel. This is what the channel is for, Walter. Do you know what I mean? As we are. Go on, let's do a cheeky rain check. 13 minutes remaining in this FP2. George Russell currently has the whip hand, 1 minute 10.7. Piastri, 1 minute 10. 1 minute 10. 1 minute 10.763. Hamilton, 110. Bloody no. You could throw a quilt over those, like, not a lot in it. 0.2 from Russell in first down to Verstappen in fifth, as Max Verstappen just puts a set of cheeky red labelled soft compound tyres over humanity. Let's go for it. Go on then, Max. Let's be having your chap. Max is going to go scorched earth, isn't he? Full blitzkrieg settings. Expect him to go like 110.5 or something at this state of evolution that the track is. No, you're a legend, Wolfer. Ford Raptor F-150, mate. It's a proper North American stallion, is it? Do you know what I mean? He sorted out the Wi-Fi. Let's go. Any other Londoners on here? Attic, you London? Whereabouts in London based? Are you north? Can't even do it properly. I'm rubbish with accent. I'm thinking about creating a short manual on it, bit of buyer's advice and some other stuff. Then I can just send that. Like a best way to tell if somebody's telling a truth story. Ask them to recite it backwards. The behaviour panel. Bloody Nora. 8. Love that. Will Albon beat Perez? No. I think Perez should be alright this way. I'm guessing. I know nothing, but I reckon Perez might. I mean, his clutch time. If any time he was going to perform, he'd surely be now. Like he's got to. You know what I mean? Come on, Checo. Vamos, Checo. No te rindas, cabrón. Do you know what I mean? No te rindas. No te rindas. Unsafe release. Ricardo and Joe Guanyu. Why would you do that? There's no need. Come on. Sauber. Soon to be Audi. What's the point in that? Like, what do you stand to gain? Risk management settings. Kia K5. Kia. Don't hate that. Again, super reliable, man. 2004 GTO. 2004 GTO. Blimey. A GTO. A GTO twin turbo Sydney. Or a Ferrari GTO. It's a critical quadrant. Channel of Lando Norris is good. I went to watch something of theirs the other day and I just wasn't feeling it. They were trying to tell like the owner. They were doing something that was like a KSI spin on Formula One or like automotive. They were trying to like tell the owner of the no man. Didn't like it. And that's I used to work with Nirin, didn't I, on the last lap. Nirin's a good lad. And I think he's still a member of Quadrant, but I wasn't feeling it, to be honest with you. All-wheel drive, 32 miles per gallon. Albon is already beating him right now. Checo will beat Albon this race, I think. I think Checo's... he has to. He has to. Now that he'll have himself a car, now that they've said that they're going to support him, can't flop again, Checo. You just can't. Like, no, Checo. No, 10 minutes, T-minus 10 remaining to the end of your FP2. George Russell currently the quickest of the session on a 110.7. Carlos Sainz in the grid. Let's get a bit of cheeky radio. Esteban Ocon being asked about the balance, starting to be a bit better. Charles Leclerc being told be careful about front microlocks into... You guys can see all this. Look at that. I'm not being... You may as well just read it for yourself, eh? Just a numpty. I'm so daft. I've just seen that. I'm showing you all the... See, F1 might see that and just completely destroy my life. I know other content creators are out there doing it. But slowly, slowly catch the monkey, Cameron. Do you know what I mean? Slowly, slowly. We don't want to cheese off an already cheesed off Formula One. Let's go, Lando. Sydney's that the golden Commodore GTO. Just drop Perez. I agree with you, Anna. You know, I've been singing from that hymn sheet all of this time, all season even. From he yeets it into the barrier when the tyre video, the 51% owners of Red Bull GmbH are watching. I think that's a sackable fence in and of itself, by itself, but there are indeed other things at play, Joanna, way above both mine and your pay grades, apparently. And I mean that's pun intended there. Financial settings, cash rules everything around me, cream, get the money, dollar bills, do you know what I mean? I might be biased, but I think Checo needs to go. Patricia, you're not wrong. Not biased at all. Checo Perez absolutely needs to go, particularly when you've got such killers, young ones, Teo Porcher, Felipe Drugovich, Liam Lawson, Etta, Isaac Hajar, all waiting in the wings, super license points and all. And Cineford and Kia, come on, petrels, says Raymond. It's techie, isn't it? How are we getting into this? Or you guys let me know what car you'd like to drive, like dream car, money no object. Keen to see what car are you guys going for. If you get all the money in the world, just go out and spend it on a car, but you only get one chance. Why waste time trying to fix him? Yeah, I hear you, Chiba. It's techie. There are wise though. $30 million a year that he brings in sponsorship money. Carlos Slim, again, a very noteworthy billionaire. Mexico Grand Prix, 27th of October. Documentary just dropped in which all they talk about is Checo Perez overcoming adversity, called No Te Rindas Cabrón. It's techie. And then they will say, and I think it's valid, there is veracity in this truth of sorts. I mean, if they get rid of him, what are the guarantees that Danny Rick's going to do better than him around the next 4 tracks? Being Dutch Grand Prix, Zandvoort, Monza, Toto, being Singapore, the last one, that's your 4th of 4. And then your other one is Baku. So those are 2 of 4 of those are specialist Checo Perez tracks that he has done really well around. So if there were any time to sack him off, should have sacked him off earlier, right? Don't wait to Singapore and Baku, the tracks that he goes well around, and then sack him off. The timing's bad. If you're going to action the stop loss, you should have actioned it in like Q1 of the season rather than race 14, 15, 16. Like, that doesn't make sense. Because if you sell Duesenberg, you can easily buy anything. Go on, you guys tell me. Mercedes 500 SLC, I don't hate that. If money's an option, I buy Pagani. Which one though, Attic? You got to be specific. A Huayra or a Zonda F, Zonda R, which one? Perez as Horner's Tapper. Attic, you're killing. Chiba, you said why waste specifically? Is that a pun intended? The way that you spelt waste, alluding to his not being match fit. 2003 Lamborghini Murcielago, grated manual. I feel like I've driven one of those, Chiba. Once upon a time, a DeLorean. Oof. You're only going to have to spend about a gazillion pounds to get your hands on one of those, Joanna. Money talks in F1, Cecilia says. Absolutely. If you have millions, I'll buy an Aston Martin Valiant. Not a Valkyrie. Verstappen way off the pace for now. Michael. Maxi. I can't say that. I don't know. Listen, I understand banter, but saying... I'm not a big fan, Michael. I can't say that word. Don't know. Dodge Challenger Cameron. 32 Ford Highboy Roadster. Oof. John Burton wanted a Ford Falcon to drag race, but Jensen stopped him. Wow. Zonda R, there you go. I do not hate that. Don't hate that. The Zonda R was a fierce one. Black, right? I think that's what Lewis Hamilton still has. Might find a way to get underweight again for George Russell and Michael. Say it's not so. Porsche 918, I don't hate that. But they don't, you know what? There's something about the 918, as brilliant as a car as it is handling dynamic, it doesn't excite me. It doesn't look as sexy as it is. You know what I mean? Its sexiness doesn't match how good of a car it is. That's what I mean to say. They said he was half a kilo under from last as versus Lewis last race start. So they are deliberately putting Lewis's car heavier to try and slow him down. Michael, behave yourself. Tinfoil Hattery, 997 GT2 RS. They're not bad cars. Why the 997 and not the 996 there? I thought the 996 was the daddy of that iteration. What do I know? Valiant is commissioned by... Oh no, Bonapartist. I don't like Fernando Alonso's one. Just not as sexy. Unless there is still a road legal Porsche 917K. A guy in Atlanta. Candidate, legend of the channel. Okay, sexiness. You hear my argument, Raymond. After this FP, I'm jumping on GT Sport in VR and drive just about all the cars you can make. I don't hate that, Candidate. I need to get my rig set back up. My pedals. I went to declutch the pedals. Fudged it up, didn't I? How about a 963 Porsche? Don't hate that. 1964 Sunbeam Alpine is what I would want. My dad had one. There you go, Swink. I don't hate that. 9146 Horseback 914. Lamborghinis are vulgar. Oh, the humanity discuss. Lamborghinis are vulgar, but they're also quite good. They're I was watching this dude on YouTube, and he was like, he's had like Bugattis, bloody Koenigseggs, and he says of all those cars, the car that's like the biggest occasion to drive was a Lamborghini Aventador. And I hear that. It is a bit crass, but I don't, as a car, don't hate it. Russell, still 110.7. Where's that Max Verstappen lap, eh? 110.986. Oh, the humanity. How much is he pushing? I'm going to go away and investigate this after the fact and find out the speed trap times to understand how much Max Verstappen is or isn't pushing. Outlaw says 67 Shelby Mustang GT 500. Eleanor. Is that what you're on about, Outlaw? That sounds like Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds. Ferraris are sexy, but which Ferrari, Raymond? If we're talking, actually, I would love to have a new Red Bull. Oh my gosh, the RB7 or 17 or whatever they're called. Drove a Dodge Charger once in the Middle East. Them Americans know how to make a muscle car. Yeah, 71 Dodge Challenger white vanishing point. You guys know your cars, eh? You're infinitely wiser. Your wisdom is deeper, more broad than mine. Max drove his DRS closed. Oh, there we go. Yes, Cam. Right, I'm going to have to go away and do some investigate. I'm not even paying attention. 143 of you watching. And Cameron's talking about cars more than he is F1. But this is a data fact find, isn't it? It's going to get techie. I'll review it and we will touch base during qualifying tomorrow. It will get techie. These other bloody streamers just putting up the... I really want to put up the radio so you guys can see. But we'll talk to it. I don't want to get this channel. Listen, ultimately, I keep reading this book called The Psychology of Money. And as far as your strategy, you need to stay in the game, right? It's not about these it is about tail events and upside, but you got to stay in the game. If you don't stay in the game long enough, then there's no point. XJ220. You know, visual. I went to the motor show in Birmingham when they revealed that car. The XJ220 back in the 90s, I want to say maybe 94. Is Fanatec still going bankrupt? Apparently so, Walther. Apparently so. And they keep putting some of my mates' videos on their TikTok unauthorized, which I don't like. Alfa Romeo's Disco Volante, look it up, says Jay. Oof, I think I know what that car looks like. Old Dodgers have awful steering. They feel like they're all over the place. Isn't that just the mantra with American muscle cars full stop, Megan? Don't know. Rear wheel drive. Oh, why can't you guys see what's going on? What the hell? Of course, because you guys want to see things like this, don't you? What is going on? Technical madness. Right, we got there. I don't know how that happens. Excuse me. 114 if you're watching currently. Do me a favor and smash a like. 2-lane black stuff. Attic says, not jealous at all. Macon old dodges of awful steering. What's Macon driving these days? Disco Volante has been in a Top Gear episode. I'll have a look. I think I know what it is. I'm quite hot on my cars normally, but again, under pressure, I don't know anything, as per usual. Right, we are coming to the end of FP2. In fact, we are at the end. There is no minutes on the clock. Hit the like, exactly that. Outlaw, you're a legend. Proper legendary settings. Outlaw, how have you not got a blue spanner? I think we need to fix that, chap. I think one needs to fix that. Right. Okay. I'm going to run. You guys have been legends. That's the end of the session. We have ourselves an FP2 in the books. Russell on a 110.7, who's the quickest that session. Piastri, followed by Piastri on a 110.7, also 6.3. However, Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, 0.2 adrift. Apparently, you guys are saying that he didn't have his DRS open. I'm going to go away and check that. Alonso, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Leclerc, Albon, Sainz gearbox issues. Again, didn't get much running in. Ferrari all at sea yet again. Oh, the humanity is going to get techie. I will be here live for an 8 p.m. stream. That's T-4 hours where we get to chop it up about everything. We will talk Kimi Antonelli. We will talk about Eddie Jordan, things that he had to say. Maximilian Verstappen talking about retirement. Lewis Hamilton, the criticism. Is he not technically minded enough? Is that technical mindedness commensurate to match? He's not in substantial driving capabilities. And all of the aforementioned doing for Alpine and the rest of the weird and wacky world that has been F1. I will do a bit of a due diligence and a deep dive on FP2 and any findings, and we will talk about it then. I will see you in T-4 hours for the usual Friday night stream, a bit of back and forth. Also for qualifying, we'll be here 30 minutes before, lights out for FP3-2, and for the race T-30 minutes before. I'll catch you later between now and then. As always, remember, look but never stared. Now let's go. The prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.